Low-quality fans of a high-quality playoff team, whomever that team may be. I'm sorry I look like a mess. I've been ripping bamboo out of my backyard. One of my neighbors planted it and didn't realize that it is an invasive species and covers everything, and it sucks. So that's my new life. I let it get too bad. Let's be very honest with ourselves. So I cursed the conference finals. I apologize for that because I mentioned on the Short Shift podcast, which if you are not aware of, you should check it out. It's pretty okay, I like to think. And on this channel that the playoffs have been incredible. The first two rounds, awesome. Loved them. Some drama, some intrigue. And say what you want about this finals matchup, it has a lot more drama and intrigue than alternatives. I know a lot of people are like, I don't really care for the rematch. I think it's kind of a good narrative. It's interesting in a lot of ways, but we'll get there. No, I cursed it. I said that the first two rounds have been great, and then the conference finals were just not great. One of which is not surprising, and I feel like the other one was fairly surprising that it didn't end up being a better series. So we're going to break down this series. Like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. Currently, I am working on a best free agents of each position videos. I'm working on the NHL's, every NHL team season in 30 seconds video. I'm really excited to do that one again. We're about halfway there with that. That's going to take some time. There's just other stuff that I am actually working on. I know it's been mostly silent as we go between these series. So there's stuff. Many of you probably are like, okay, whatever. When it pops up, I'll give it a look. But I am not going to do the whole spiel this time. We talked throughout each of these series, so you get it. You know what I'm doing here. You understand the process. Let's talk a little bit about how we got here. And we will start with the Oilers, because spoiler alert to you Panthers fans, I have way more to say about the Oilers. You'll see why that's a compliment towards the end. So the Oilers. McDavid gonna McDavid, right? Not really. He's been great, and especially the conference finals, he was great. But he's hardly alone this year. We saw this team in trouble for about 24 hours. Right? About 24 hours. As they dropped the first two games of round one against the Kings, a team hungry to finally beat the Oilers from losing over and over and over and over again to them. Skinner was a mess through two games. The defense in front of him was also struggling, and the Oilers were getting heavily outplayed by a disciplined Kings team that knew how to score a little, but really knew how to hold a lead. That was two games in. Then the Oilers would go on to win the next 12 of 14. So they haven't had to sweat out anything since that first round. They've been just demolishing. They've outscored opponents 58-33 after that first two games. Getting past the Kings after spotting them, or was that just the last two rounds combined? Either way, getting past the Kings after spotting them a couple games was one thing, right? But we assumed Vegas would be able to utilize their strengths down the middle and on their back end to, I don't know, at least give them something to think about. Nope, nothing. It was a breeze. I mean, some of those games are close, but really a breeze. Stuart Skinner decided that he was tired of being a loser and shut the door emphatically with shutouts in games 4 and 5 to end that series. But then came the Stars. And the Stars, well, this was a matchup, man. This was a matchup. A rematch, even. The best players in the world versus the best depth in the world. Did you guys know I used to have a little bit of a lisp? I still do have a little bit of a lisp. You can kind of hear it there. I hate pointing that out because now people are going to be like, I hear it all the time. So it's the best depth in the world versus the best players in the world. The Stars had high-end talent at every position and got demolished. Despite controlling the run of play in every game except one in that series, and the one was game one, the only game they won, and needed a dramatic comeback to do it. Yeah, the Oilers, were supposed to be, a deep team with some questions on defense and in net at the beginning of the year. And during the regular season, they were some of that, right? Skinner was indeed a question in net. And no defense gets to be considered high-end when Ty Emberson and Troy Stetcher are in the lineup more often than not. But the depth wasn't all that impressive through the regular season. And as the playoffs started, it felt like McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard would have to pull off an absolute miracle. And then 16 games later, they're back in the final, and they've received real contributions up and down the lineup, which was a huge part of that Dallas series too, where it slowed down a little bit, but for the most part, they still got timely goals from their role players. And that's been a huge impact for them, obviously made the run here much easier. The script, obviously, also flipped for Skinner. After struggling through the first three starts, he's been the best goalie in the postseason. There is a little mirroring with that with last year. The Oilers' star players are carrying the load, but goaltending suddenly turned into a strength, and timely goals from the role players made series easier on them. And that's kind of with both last year and this year. Although Skinner's turnaround last year, well, we'll talk about it, but came much earlier. It is also worth pointing out, actually, that the Oilers' defense has been stellar for a few weeks now. Like, just as a team, not just the back end, but as a team. And again, Skinner really has been doing the bulk of that work. I think he deserves more credit when talking about Edmonton's strong goals allowed numbers, but there is no denying that the team made it clear to Skinner that they were going to have his back. And 21 goals allowed in their last 10 games is about as impressive as you can get against that competition. I mean, that's really, really good. Now, there are some red flags, because we just watched Florida go into Carolina and beat them at their own game. Possession matters, and the Panthers just outpossessed the possession merchants of the East. Meanwhile, Edmonton was stuck chasing the play for most of the Dallas series. They were almost never chasing the score, which, I mean, that's what you care about. But they did spend way too much time in their own zone, which led to penalties, which led to some goals against. I mean, that whole rambling was kind of a two-part red flag, right? One, the Oilers are about to play a possession-heavy team after really struggling to create sustained play in their opponent's zone in the last couple of weeks. And two, the penalty kill has been awful. 66% across 3 rounds is not getting it done by any means. Ekholm's return helps on both those fronts, although he's clearly not 100%. He helps alleviate the forechecking a little bit of Florida, who creates possession from their forecheck, and they have very clean breakouts as well. Ekholm at least is capable of handling many forechecks, and I would say most of those plays when he's on the ice. He moves the puck well, he gets it off the boards well. He also can help on the penalty killing side as well, I would hope. There's also the question of sustainability for the Oilers. I'm not going to assume that the Oilers' depth scoring is going to completely disappear, because why would they? They didn't disappear last round, and Dallas may be the closest thing to Florida in terms of talent farther down the roster and not allowing you to get the matchups that you want. But Florida doesn't just have the talent down the roster. They have legitimate game-changing personnel down the roster. The third line of Lundell, Marchand, and Luosterainen is absurdly good, and it's their third line. I mean, they're really good. And the Oilers just showed us, like, they can handle a team that is constantly rolling out talented puck movers and scorers and guys who can possess the puck, but can they handle a team with talented puck movers and scorers and guys who can possess the puck, but also lay the body, create turnovers, and disturb every bit of piece that you're trying to find? Like, that's where the concern comes in for the Oilers, which is, I mean, the concern for anybody who's playing this freaking Florida team. How the Panthers got here? Well, do you remember when we talked about the Panthers' lackluster offensive numbers through the regular season, despite the underlying analytics telling the story of a team that's creating a ton of chances but can't seem to capitalize? Yeah, that's not really a problem anymore. They have 21 goals. They had 21 goals in 5 games against the Canes. 26 in 7 against the Leafs. The offense started to perform when the games mattered most. Who could have guessed it? Remember, I chose the Lightning over the Panthers in round 1. Do not in any way, shape, or form compliment me on acting like I should have known better. I should have known better. Many of us should have. Gross. Seriously, what is there left to say about this squad, though, in general? They're averaging just under 4 goals a game while allowing only 2.3. Their penalty kill has been elite, sitting at 88% success rate, and their power play has been fine, scoring 23% of their chances. They dominated a Lightning team that had one of the most talented top sixes in the league, and is supposed to be one of the best goaltenders, although he didn't have a great series. Their goaltending fell apart against a talented Leafs team early on, spotting them 2 free wins, and still didn't matter. They came back and wiped them. And then it's time for the Canes, a team desperately hungry for a Cup Finals appearance after all of the losing in the Eastern Conference Finals that they've done. A team known for its discipline, mental fortitude, unrelenting structural play. It took the Panthers less than 60 minutes on the ice to shatter that image as they whooped the Canes game 1. And we watched Carolina players falling for every poke and prod by the Floridian Rats. Every little antagonization, they were all over it, to the point where Gostisbehere fought Marchand. Like, what is happening here? What is truly happening? 72 hours into that series, the Canes players looked defeated, and the sound bites were even worse. That team was broken. Good news for Canes fans. They did get to enjoy one Eastern Conference Finals win, so technically, that's progress. The one ray of hope for other teams was Bobrovsky, who in round 1 was okay, but not good enough to quiet a hopeful Eastern Conference that maybe someone can get the best of Florida before we play them. It's kind of how I assume it went. The second round begins after they get through the first with that maybe par level goaltending. And Bob looked lost. First 2 games, not good. And then he didn't, posting a .956 through the last 4 games of round 2 and demolishing the Canes to the tune of a .936 save percentage and a 1.6 goals allowed average through that series. There's nothing left to say. There's nothing left to say. They have the star talent. They have impact players at every single position. They have strong to great special teams. They're overwhelming at 5-on-5. They have depth on depth on depth. In fact, they arguably have the best third line in hockey. They know how to win it all. And maybe most importantly, they're by far the healthier of the 2 sides. It's all coming up Florida. It's all gravy train for them. I know you may hate it, but Dems to facts, for sure. So let's talk about the important factors here, and the most important factor in this series, I'm going to start with. The last Canadian team to win a cup did so a few months before I was born. I was born right before the 93-94 preseason started. I am the only thing still holding Canada back from winning a cup. And the weight, I'm going to be honest, guys, the weight is getting heavy. But I haven't stumbled yet. Now on to the real reason. Stuart Skinner's deal with the Devils. Skinner made it 2 games into the postseason before being pulled for Calvin Pickard. And even when Pickard went down with an injury, Skinner immediately fell apart again. Through 3 games, Skinner had an .817 save percentage and over 5 goals allowed per 60. And then, he met a man out in the sticks of good Ole Miss who was white as cotton and wore a cigar on his lip. His next 7 starts, well, a 141 goals allowed average and a .944 save percentage. It wasn't this drastic last year. It really wasn't. But Skinner did have a mid-season turnaround and then ended up being a large reason that Edmonton made it to the finals. Then he largely stunk in games 1 through 3 in the finals. Only allowed 9 goals, which isn't awful, but on 68 shots makes it really not great. So that was the first 3. His next 4 games ranged from pretty good to flat out excellent. So the Oilers just can't afford to have him start slow. Skinner needs to stay close to his current level to make sure of that. A goalie getting hot, leading his team to the cup? I don't know if we've ever seen this before, you know? I mean, seriously, if Skinner stays hot, who knows? Just Bobrovsky's also hot. I just hope that when Skinner made that deal with the Devil, that he worded whatever he wanted very specifically. Like, I'm really hoping he wasn't, like, just throwing out, hey, I just want to have a really good save percentage for the rest of the play. Like, no. Like, say something that that guarantees you a cup, right? Like, hey, after game 4, I always want to allow less goals. Or after game 3, I always want to allow less goals than the opposing goalie. Although, I guess that leaves some monkey pawness for injury there. It's tough, see? It's tough. You got to ask the right question. Another important factor, the Oilers' overwhelming defense. I find this pretty interesting because I think it's getting too much credit, as I mentioned earlier. Yes, the Oilers allowed just 5 5-on-5 goals through the conference finals. Awesome. So good. According to Natural Stat Trick, Stuart Skinner saved an additional 8 expected goals at 5-on-5. That's awesome. That's immense. Still, against the teams they faced, particularly in the last 2 rounds, an expected 5-on-5 goals allowed of 2.3 per game through the last 10-ish games is impressive. So, like, the defense is still doing their job to an excellent degree. It's just Skinner's also playing out of his mind on top of that. And I think the conversation should be more about Skinner than it is the defense. Although one thing with the expected goals, and it's one of the flaws with the stat, is sometimes you can see the goals saved above expected really ramps up when your defense in front of you is doing really well because the shots that are coming at you are, easier to stop, but they're still adding percentage by percentage by percentage. And so I don't know. It's hard to explain in this, but there's just a line at a certain point where you go like, none of those shots were difficult to face, but when you add them all up, it does equal a goal and a half saved above expected. But none of those shots were true scoring chances. It was just a bunch of those. So I guess you don't put all of it into that basket of advanced analytics, which I've always kind of said. I watched those games, though, and I thought Stuart Skinner was damn fantastic for pretty much all of them. The defense, like I said, it's been good. Skinner deserves credit for there. We do need to talk a little bit about the special teams. The penalty kill does need to be better. 66%, that's bad. That's really, really bad. Got to be better. They've allowed 8 power play goals in the last 10 games. The penalty kill has looked better when McDavid's been on it, but like you can't expect him to play 4 minutes of penalty killing time a night because you are needing him in different areas. Let's say that. Another important factor, I think, is the next man up for Hyman. Obviously, that loss is huge, especially at the net front. But Corey Perry has also been awesome this series. This playoffs. So he's going to be on the top line, it looks like, with Nugent Hopkins and McDavid. We'll see if Draisaitl gets put up there a little bit as well. It always happens during a series. But losing Hyman is just huge. He's the guy who battles in front of the net. He's the guy who stirs up the goaltender and the defense. So it's going to be a tough thing to replace. It also bleeds away some of the matchup potential with home ice belonging to the Oilers. The Oilers' depth has been really good. It's been really, really good. But they need everything they've got against this Florida squad. And Hyman out for the series, Ekholm at 70, 75%. Like, that's a tough start. And it bleeds into the depth you can use because a player goes up, a player goes up, a player goes up. It's just, it weakens you across the board. It's a really tough task they have ahead of them. There's got to be an important factor about the Panthers, right? Just isn't much to say. Elite everywhere. There are no concerns. Like, is anyone in Florida concerned right now? Like, what can I get really nitpicky about? I got nothing. I got nothing. Let's talk about the funniest outcomes for this series in my mind. And let me know if you have others below. Like, I really want to know if you have other things that you'd like. This would be hilarious. Without asking for players to be injured, please. So, funniest outcomes. Florida wins it in 7. McDavid wins the Conn Smythe again. My vision here is he skates out, breaks the trophy, screams at his team to dig in, then stands at center ice while the Panthers are passing the cup around him. So that's my number one. I think that would be really, really funny if that happened. Especially him winning the Conn Smythe. He can't, if it happens again, do not go out there and lift that trophy. Do exactly what you did last year. Just leave. Just be like, nope. You guys can yell at me again. I don't give a shit. I don't want it. Another funny outcome would be Edmonton wins, but Stuart Skinner wins the Conn Smythe. Frankly, what the fuck? That would just be good old-fashioned fun. No one would be upset about that. I mean, the opposing team would, but I think it would be funny. One of my favorites. Oh, I love this one. Series is 2-1 Florida, right? 2-1. It's in game 4. Panthers are up huge in the third. It's like, let's say it's 6-1, right? 8 minutes left-ish in the third period. The Panthers are about to go up 3-1. They're going to win this game. I'm not saying they blow this game. They're going to go up 3-1 in the series. Either Tkachuk or Bennett does something egregious. Let's say they slew foot McDavid blatantly, right? McDavid goes down. He's helped off the ice. League steps in at the end of the game. They suspend either Tkachuk or Bennett. We'll say it's Tkachuk just because this is funnier if it's Tkachuk in my mind. They'll say, Tkachuk, you're suspended for the rest of the playoffs, right? 3-1 lead. Full Draymond Green here, by the way. He's out. And then McDavid is in for game 5. Just like that. He's in. No issues. And off they go. Oilers rip off 3 straight. Panthers fans have to decide if they still like Tkachuk or Bennett or whoever does it. But they also have to come to terms with the fact that he cost them a cup. The old Draymond Green. I think that would be hilarious. Just frankly hilarious. As long as no one actually got hurt. I want to be very clear about that. But that would be pretty funny to me. Another funny one, maybe the Florida sweep. And then the state of Florida now has 6 finals appearances and 4 cups in the last 6 years as Canada tries to cope with the fact that hockey now belongs to the South. Just watching the North in general, I know I'm part of that, but like, I just think it would be pretty funny as everyone tries to grapple with what the hell do we do. I don't think the tax thing is a big deal. Not big enough that it should mean that one state has had 6 years in a row where they represent these in the finals. Like, it's not that much of an advantage in my mind. I don't know. The players also say it's not something that comes into their mind very often. And I have this belief that rich people find ways around this stuff all the time. Maybe that's just very naive of me, but that's where I'm at with that. This one's not funny. Okay, this one's not funny, but it's more of a big picture outcome that I wanted to talk about because this video is more about like everything now. Florida looks untouchable, right? They've been demolishing teams for 3 straight years. They've messed up a Bruins record-setting season and then went on to the finals. And then, I mean, just awesome. They won the President's Trophy years ago before all of this. It's just Florida demolishing everyone. There's a couple close calls in there, I know that. But for the most part, that's just hockey. They've been demolishing everyone. Even with how great the Oilers look, I think it's safe to say that Florida should be favored, and they are favored in this matchup. You add in the Zach Hyman injury and Ekholm not being 100% and all that. You do kind of have a David and Goliath scenario. A McDavid and Goliath scenario, if you will. But David and McDavid have something in common. They've both been blessed by the hand of God. It's true. It's very true, and you know it. What is the conversation? If this goes 7, McDavid puts up 18 points in this series and adds another Conn Smythe and his first Stanley Cup to his trophy case. Like, what's the conversation? There comes a time in every fan's life that they realize just how rare it is for their team to win the cup. I was in my mid-20s when it really hit me how unlikely it is that I see the Bruins win 4 or 5 more times in my lifetime. I mean, the older I get, that number keeps shrinking. Like, seeing the Bruins win again in my lifetime. You know, it's just really rare. They're talking about expanding the league again, which I'm starting to get kind of frustrated with, because at a certain point, I'm like, hey, if there's 40-something teams, the odds of ever seeing your team win a cup are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Like, we don't need... Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm the minority of that. But there's no doubt that players realize this too. And maybe at around the same time. In the last 40 years, the Oilers have 5 cups. The Penguins have 5. The Red Wings have 4. Blackhawks 3. Devils 3. Lightning 3. Avalanche 3. Kings 2. The Rangers, Habs, Bruins, Stars, Panthers, Blues, Flames, Ducks, Canes, Capitals, Golden Knights all have 1. Right? 19 teams with at least 1 cup in 40 years. That leaves 13 teams who haven't reached the pinnacle out of those 40 years. Of those 13 teams, 11 have been around for at least 20 years. Winning the cup is rare. It's rare. It's difficult to do. The chances are often few and far between. The Oilers had Gretzky for 4 of their 5. The Penguins had Lemieux and then Crosby. Assholes. The other teams with multiple cup wins have multiple legends of the game on their team. Sakic, Forsberg, Waugh, Brodeur, Kucherov, Vasilevsky, Stamkos, Datsuk, Hasek, Lidstrom, Kane, Quick, Keith. There's all of the others. You know. It takes a special team or one of the greatest players of all time to win just one. It takes a whole different level to win multiple. The Panthers look like they have that rarefied roster that can win multiple cups. Obviously, this is their 3rd finals in a row. We're not, I'm not saying anything you don't know. If McDavid and Draisaitl manage to pull this off and they win this cup over a healthy as anybody is in the finals, dominant Death Star of a team, they manage to pull this off. Does the conversation become about slaying the beast, or about how he stacks up to how McDavid stacks up to the greats? Like, of course it will, right? I just don't think this will feel like a regular first cup for the best player in the league kind of thing. I think it will be viewed as something much, much greater, something bigger, because it just feels. And again, let's talk about how I wasn't alive for those Gretzky Cups, right? I wasn't alive for that crazy Islanders run. Like, maybe they all felt like this. There's different cups feel different ways. Maybe the greats always have some juggernaut that they're facing off in the cup finals, their first cup. I just don't know if it's quite like this one, you know? And obviously it's recency bias and all this stuff. Like, accuse me of all that all you want, because you're right. But this one does feel like failed last year, lost in 7, 1 goal away, like just so close. It feels like this year's team is even better, meaning the Panthers. This would be something special for McDavid to pull this out. And I think there'd be real conversations about where that ranks among all-time greats. Now, of course, if he gets through it with 11 points and was helpful in winning the cup but wasn't dominant, then I think the conversation's very different. But if he goes absolutely nuclear, 3 points a game just wills them to a cup, we're going to be talking about how it stacks up against some of the greatest. I mean, this is why you watch the game, right? Oh, unless your team's in it, which mine is very much not. Next year, though, which I'm going to believe until I can't. My prediction of it all, tough, man. Look, Panthers fans, I know I've talked about the Oilers far more than you through this, and I do genuinely apologize for that, but I think you understand why. The task of beating this Panthers squad feels too much. Feels like too much for anybody. The best player in the league, maybe the greatest player we've seen play the modern game, all due respect to Crosby. I said maybe. Top 5 center and arguably the current best goal scorer in the NHL right now next to him. It still feels like a mountain to climb. This Panthers team is greatness. We can distract ourselves with the not-so-funny business, the cheap shots, the dirty plays, the perceived favoritism from the refs or the league. Whatever you want to throw out there, but at the end of the day, the Florida Panthers are built for playoff hockey better than any team of, the last decade at least. All due respect to those Lightning teams, this one just is different. I'm not saying that, the Lightning don't deserve immense respect for what they did. And being a 3-time finalist like that and winning 2 of them is insane. It's insane. The Panthers feel like that plus some. I'm already scared of a three-peat. That's how good these Panthers look right now. They're just a different level of dominance. I don't know. When I watched the Bruins win the Cup, they had to go through 3 Game 7s. That wasn't a dominant team. That was a team that gritted it out, which in some ways made it even more special. But I'm not picking that 2011 team against this Panthers team. I think it'd be close. I love to believe that. But I'm not flat out saying yes, absolutely. It's funny actually. Some of the later teams I would think would have a better chance to beat this Panthers team. That 2011 team wasn't even the best Bruins team of my lifetime, which is kind of crazy to think about. The depth, the structure, the physicality, the mental test that they put through every team. Like, you have to not just be physically tough. You have to be mentally tough to beat this Panthers squad. And you're going to sit here and say I'm glazing, I'm gushing, whatever the term is these days. But what are you possibly going to say about the Panthers team that cheapens any of this? They are dominant. They are brilliant. Like, you can hate them. I'll hate them all day. I love to hate them because they make it so easy. But they are greatness. My prediction is the Death Star coasts to another cup. Coasts. Without Hyman, without enough health, with how Florida's playing right now, I got Florida in 5. Marchand makes me kind of root for it a little bit too. I think maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Usually it takes puck drop for me to decide who I'm rooting for. So maybe that'll be another case of that. But Florida in 5. I've ended all of these videos by saying, let's go to a team. Let's go Panthers. This sucks, man. And of course, here at the end of the video, I love to give some shout outs to the fantastic high quality inspectors who help support the channel and keep this running. I super appreciate every single one of you, from the role player tier, the top line tier, and of course the all-star tier. We are going to do our shout outs for this top line tier. Thank you so much to Sean Kreider, Michael Kammerer, Chris and Erica, Kevin Timperley, Quackin' Platypus, JM, Smoke Channels, Shaggy, Adam Ella, Albert Waldron, Negev79, Lola Cattingsworth, EKM Productions, Moonlighter TV, Big Bad Bruin, The Bugman, Jeff with a G, Tommy Braga, Roland22, GD Viperworks, Len Kreutz, Brock Nope, Han Slobo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Brett Arney, Pincent, and Nick Zatrullo. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Your top line material. But now we got to move on to our all-star tier members, the absolute legends. We have Jacob Pratt, Jake Brower, Dampen, JG's 12, Mark S., Ann Hustis, Tim R., Lorenzo Wood, Penny Pasta, Levi Catalani, Boston Stringler, Bagel, Nightmare Eco, John Kirk, Joel, Stealthy Potato, Heil E. Coyote, Darren Woodbury, Abraxion, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adrian Winter, Tupton D. Tashi, Bruin Smash, D.A. Kingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Dutes42, and Jeremy. Thank you all for all of the support and love that you are all giving. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, go Bees!